In 1988, Thunderbird No. 7, Major B.J. Java, a veteran of the Vietnam conflict and the team logistics officer, strapped in a Thunderbird 10, tail number 81-0679, and flew his way into the annals of U.S. Air Force history. In 1988 was the height of the Cold War, and tensions between East and West were at an all-time high, as the cracks in the facade of the Soviet Union began to show and multiply. The East and West were at the peak of their military power, and any misstep or miscalculation could lead to World War III and nuclear Armageddon. A heightened state of readiness permeated the entire military establishment, from Reagan's White House to the Joint Chiefs, and all the way down to the lowest enlisted ranks. And in 1988, the Cold War penetrated deep into the U.S. Air Force's Air Demonstration Squadron beyond its usual mission of public outreach, ambassadorship, and recruitment. When the Thunderbirds were established, along with their US Navy counterparts, the Blue Angels, it was mandated that should their aircraft be needed in a national emergency, such as World War III breaking out between NATO and the Warsaw Pact, their aircraft should be able to be converted back to a combat configuration within 72 hours. The Thunderbirds and Blue Angels have taken two opposing methods of procuring aircraft for their squadron and performances. The Blue Angels take aircraft that are at the end of their service lives and will no longer be useful to the fleet in a combat capacity, while the Thunderbirds on a number of occasions have taken delivery of F-16s directly from Lockheed Martin's Fort Worth assembly line in their red, white, and blue liveries, such as our aircraft in question, F-16A 81-0679. This resulted in a debate between the services and within the Air Force's Tactical Air Command if this goal of a 72-hour conversion of the demonstration team's aircraft was even possible or worth the time and effort expended for the increased combat strength of around a dozen airframes. Keep in mind that the Thunderbirds held more aircraft on their roster in 1988 than they do in the 21st century. To answer the question and put the debate to rest, General Robert D. Russ, the commander of Tactical Air Command, ordered the Thunderbirds to put the mandate to the test and convert an aircraft back to full combat configuration within the allotted 72 hours. Taking to the tasking with gusto, the team's maintenance personnel worked around the clock to replace the aircraft's smoke oil reservoir, pump, and plumbing with an M61 Vulcan cannon and refit the necessary wiring for mounting a centerline electronic countermeasures pod, as well as installing the required pylons for the carriage of various air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons on the aircraft's wings. The men and women of the maintenance department were able to complete their task well before the mandated 72-hour deadline, save for the patriotic and iconic Thunderbird paint scheme. The morning the conversion was completed, The aircraft was wheeled out of its hangar for ordnance personnel borrowed from other Nellis Air Force Base units to load the aircraft with 4 captive AIM-9 Papas, 6 Mark 82 Snake Eye high-drag 500-pound bombs, and 511 20mm cannon rounds. Major B.J. Java's mission that day was to demonstrate the success of the maintenance department's conversion by bombing and strafing targets in the Nevada Test and Training Range located just north of Nellis Air Force Base. Major Java returned to Nellis Air Force Base after having expended all of his bombs and cannon rounds, with his empty bomb racks and the left side of his red, white, and blue Falcon smeared with black soot and residue from firing his Vulcan as evidence of the team's success. Upon returning to the ramp, the aircraft was swarmed by numerous personnel who worked tirelessly on F-16A 810679's conversion, and the aircraft was unofficially christened Warbird, after the jet's crew chief scribbled the now infamous name into the soot around the cannon port with his finger. In the end, the conversion was a one-off event used only as a proof of concept and an exercise for the Thunderbirds maintenance department. F-16A 810679 would eventually be transferred to a training squadron at Hill Air Force Base, before returning to the Thunderbirds the next year and finishing her life training Singaporean F-16 students at Hill Air Force Base once again. After the end of the Cold War, the need for emergency conversion of Blue Angel or Thunderbird aircraft to combat configuration in a time of crisis disappeared along with the Soviet Union. Even the global war on terror and its massive strain on United States military tactical air assets never reached a point where Thunderbird or Blue Angel jets would be needed for combat duty. Their mission behind the front line of inspiring future aviators, military recruitment, and ambassadorship across the globe far outweighs the small increase in combat strength these aircraft represent. However, as the world pivots back to major power competition and the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we may see a renewed look at the debate over the veracity of the 72-hour conversion timeline set for Blue Angel and Thunderbird jets. It is incredibly unlikely we will ever see a Blue Angel F-18E or F converted back to a combat configuration due to their elderly age and lack of upgraded combat systems. But who knows, we may see a repeat of the Warbird tests, and the Thunderbirds may be required to prepare for war with their newer and more capable F-16 Block 52 Vipers.